Hi, I'm Caitlin E, and welcome to the Lit Review. Today we're doing my first vlog for the 1,000 Doors readathon. I'm really excited about this readathon because it truly is a choose your own adventure. Got it set up in two different ways. If you'd like to participate in like a week-long crush and you like the race and the chase, you can do this during November, I think 1st through the 7th or the 8th. And then you can also kind of do what I'm gonna do, which is take the whole month and take your dear sweet time, because rushing stresses me out. So it started, technically for us here in the US, it started at 5 p.m. on Halloween. So what I did last night was watch all the three hosts' videos, and those three hosts are Meg from Meg with Books, Emma from Drinking by My Shelf, and Tasman from Tea, Books, and Tasman. And so each of them are your jumping off points. They each created a very short little video with the first prompt, and you can choose any of those three, but once you've chosen what prompt you'd like to go through, that's the path you need to continue to follow, because at the end of that video that you choose, there's going to be some kind of prompt or question with links to other videos or doors that you can walk through to continue your journey, which is mind-blowing. I love how creative this is. I'm so hyped for this readathon. So, you kind of have to remember which video you started from or went from last, so that's gonna be a bit of a trick, but I'm really excited. So I watched all three of the host videos for that, and each of the three prompts to see where I was most inspired for based on things like my priority shelf, my Litland TBR, and the books I have out from the library. So Megan from Meg with Books did a meme. She's the meme queen as far as I'm concerned, and she always includes a lot of memes in her videos, so it felt really authentic for her to pick a meme. And she specifically did the like Whitney Houston saying, now that's history. The idea being like, take inspiration from that however you want and interpret. So that was Meg's option. Tasman did inspired by Breaking Bad, and that again, you could take it a lot of different ways. Just anything that made you feel connected or reminded you of the series overall, which I thought was a really interesting prompt too. They're both not at all what I would have considered initially for a prompt for like a readathon, and that's what's getting me like so creatively inspired. And then the same goes with Emma's prompt. Emma from Drinking by My Shelf just gave you a number, just said 5. What inspires you about 5? And all three of those prompts are really fascinating to me, and my mind immediately exploded and went into a million different places for it. But when I regathered my thoughts, I decided to go with Tasman's prompt of Breaking Bad. So if you're familiar with the show Breaking Bad, that has a lot to do with drugs and drug culture and needing to survive and power dynamics, and it's a really compelling anti-hero type series. And so I'm taking my inspiration a little literally with the drug component and would like to read Jade City by Fonda Lee. But my understanding of this is getting very popular again on BookTube, so I wanted to know what all the fuss was about. But this story is like a fantasy, somewhat political fantasy, I would say. So like Jade is, sorry, this thing is very shiny. So jade is something that is a very high commodity, not in the way that we think of it, that it enhances magical abilities of people of a certain class. Like specifically, the Greenbone Warriors use it to enhance their magical abilities. However, how this becomes Breaking Bad themed is that there is a new drug available that allows anybody to use jade. So this is the first book in, I believe, a series, but it sounds really interesting. And again, I just gotta know what all the hype and all the fuss on BookTube is about. Hoping this is as good as everybody says. I just get my expectations up and then this becomes a problem, so I really need to work on that. But yeah, nice, beautiful, thick book. And again, I am gonna be participating in this 1,000 Doors readathon all month long because I am a bit slow. I'm also partaking in a different readathon that overlaps a little bit at the beginning of the month that I'll be focusing my reading energies on. So you might not hear from me for a little bit, but that's okay. I'm still gonna get through this. And I'm so excited about this, not just because it's getting some love in BookTube land, but because it's a library book, and this is one of the first library books that I've checked out since the pandemic. So I think it's the second one, and I'm just very excited to be able to invest in my library again. I've been doing a lot of listening on overdrive through my library, but just I'm always going to be a physical book person if given half the chance, and so this makes me very happy. Okay, so that's my like opening spiel. I know it's a little chaotic energy. My entire energy is chaotic today. It's a thing. But I will check in with you soon and maybe try to show you a little bit of what's been going on in my quarantine life. So I'll see you soon. Hi friends, it is, gosh, what is it? I have to look at the computer. It is November 9th. Wow, what is time? So I have been really bad about catching up with you on the Thousand Doors readathon. So this is, I guess, my like first check-in after the introduction. I was doing the paranormal romance readathon, and that basically consumed the first full week of November for me. So now I can actually start making progress on Jade City. I started it last night, and I got about 100 pages in. It is really good so far. I don't want to say too much, but I'm loving how it's multi-perspective, and it does that thing that some authors do so well with multi-perspective, where it's almost like a domino effect, where you will introduce the content or the person that's going to be the star of the perspective of the next chapter. And so far, consistently, every chapter I've read so far in that first 100 pages is like a new person's perspective. I'm sure we'll have to like cycle back around to some of them at some point, but that has been really interesting. Really like the writing style. I'm super curious. I think at that 100-page mark, I'm just hitting this like really intense jumping off point. Like they've been doing a lot of really good like tension building and setup, and I feel like the next 100 pages are just going to be even more intense. But it's like a really cool political fantasy, like political in the sense not of like actual royals, but of like the people who unofficially run this island nation are in these like kind of gangs that are actually businesses that like literally run an entire city that represents the whole of this nation. Yeah, that's my like terrible synopsis. But I am waiting. I have one more meeting to do at work before I can log off for the day. I'm catching up on some YouTube back here. You can see a little bit of that on my screen. Because when I'm not filming back here, this is my workspace. So I have to like clear that off each and every single time I film, which is interesting. But yeah, I have, it's like 5:45 at night. I have another meeting at 6 that'll go to 6:30. And then I'll be able to have dinner. We're probably just going to do something really easy tonight. Yeah, that's all I know for now. Sorry it took me so long to update you. Yeah, hopefully by now you're used to the purple hair. That's all I know. That's all I know for now. Touch base with you soon. Hello. Today I'm gonna do a little craft project with y'all. And by craft project, I mean I'm gonna put stuff on something I bought and then I'm gonna hang it. And that's about as crafty as we're gonna get today. But it's something that I've been really excited about doing and like adding to this space, and hopefully if it looks good, I can then like maybe shift up how I do my videos a little bit. Also, hi, look at this adorable setting that you never get to see because of my short self and the framing of cameras, but like, look at that. It's so cute. Anyway, so what I'm gonna do is take this chunk of empty wall back here that you don't normally see, because normally you see like a version of that. And I'm gonna put a beautiful corkboard back there, and then I'm gonna fill it, or at least get it started, with all the pins and stuff that I've collected over the years, because I am actually a really big Disney pin collector, in addition to keeping all of my Owl Crate and Fairy Loot pins that I've gotten over the years. So I kind of wanted there to be a more clear display of all of that cool stuff. So with that in mind, I bought this. And here's just some of like the pins that I think I'm gonna lay out. But before I stick them in and hang this beautiful piece that I got on Etsy. This amount of pins, by the way, is like not even half of the pins that I own. It's just the ones that right now I'd like to hang up. I have some that are like a little bit more seasonal, so I'll probably rotate these around a fair bit. The random tour. So I have this one, and even though it's a Disney pin, it's gonna go in my little random corner. Come on, focus for me. There you go. So this is a UCLA pin. I am still working on my doctorate at UCLA, and so it's like kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to get that pin in particular. It is a furry playing a guitar at the Hard Rock Cafe, and in 2016 I went to an academic conference where there was also next door a furry conference, and it was probably one of the best academic conferences I've ever been to. And yeah, not like being snarky or looking down on the furry community. I thought it was like the coolest thing to get to see all of the fursonas. So I bought this pin to commemorate that, and that was in Atlanta, Georgia. And I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this is actually like a flocked texture, so it kind of has like the furry texture. This is a pin for Hearst Castle, and I don't think I've ever talked about this, but my master's thesis was on Marion Davies, who was William Randolph Hearst's mistress and her film career. So yeah, I went to go visit the castle as part of my research for that thesis and bought a commemorative pin. This one is from Paper Source. It is not from anywhere super special or specific, but I did grow up watching Rainbow Bright a lot. It's one of my favorites, and this reminds me so much, even though it is a unicorn and not just a rainbow horse. It reminds me of Rainbow Bright. And then this one is actually a pin from a friend who makes pins. So her studio is called Leviathan Studios, and she has an Etsy shop. So this one also goes on there for that kind of special. Separating them out for now, but we'll see if they stay separated. And honestly, some of these I'm going to be able to remember what books they went with, and some of them I got nothing. So this one I do know is for Maria Lu's Kingdom of Back. It's really cool. Even if I don't end up keeping that book, I really liked the cover art, so that pin is staying. This one says Decide Your Fate. I cannot remember what book this went with. This one says Child of the Library, so I believe this is for Margaret Rogerson's. This one I think is for To Kill a Kingdom, but I'm not 100% sure. And it says Still I Will Fight on the bottom, but I just really liked the look of it and the aesthetic of it. This one definitely came in a recent box, and I cannot remember which one. So it's pretty. It's going on the board. This one is for We Hunt the Flame, and it also says The Light in the Darkness underneath, but like it is one of my favorite books. I read this, or at least one of my favorite books of 2020. I read this in January, and yeah, can't wait for the sequel. Disney adjacent things like Star Wars and the Muppets. And then this is a mix of Disney and Pixar. And again, I've been collecting Disney pins for so long. This is like the tip of the iceberg. But I'm being really picky about what goes up on here, and I will probably change all of this at some point. But I just wanted to show you what I got. So over here, whenever possible, when I go to cons, which obviously I haven't been to one this year, but I always look for the pin trader ones, and I love finding random stuff like this. This is just a little pin that says, just made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. So love that. And of course, this Yoda pin, judge me by my size, do you? You know, him not making the height restrictions on the ride. I really thought that was funny. So I got that on one of my last trips to Disneyland. And then I do love the Muppets. The Muppets are some of my all-time faves. And Statler and Waldorf here, the hecklers in the theater, are some of my favorite. So happy to have them represented. And then over here, this is another one that I found at like a Comic-Con. equivalent, or I think maybe WonderCon. I can't remember, but it's a really old pin from the pin trading, and it's just super cute. These little Mouseketeers. And then Up is one of my favorite Pixar movies, if not my favorite Pixar movie. So I have several. I have the grape soda pin, and then of course, like, I have their wedding where she bowls him over. Oh, it's so cute. And then Doug. Who doesn't love Doug the dog? And let me see if it'll focus here. There we go. So it says you can rotate. I love the pins that move too. So this one says things like, "Squirrel, I have been very good today." And then the classic, "I have just met you and I love you." So this is super cute. I love the pins that move. I feel like they're really cool. That I love. Again, pins that move. So obviously this is from Peter Pan, Captain Hook, and his fearful crocodile. And this one I love too. This is going to be kind of difficult to get it to align right. But so when they took down the Tower of Terror to turn it into the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, I was a little heartbroken because I love the Tower of Terror ride. I also watched that movie all the time as a kid, the Disney Channel original movie. So I got bought a bunch of swag for myself. We went on like the last day that it was open, and yeah, got this pin to commemorate, and also bought like a t-shirt because I still love that ride, and the Guardians of the Galaxy ride is actually super cool too, but I just will always love the Tower of Terror. And then one of my favorite Disney movies, like of all time, come on, focus. There we go. One of my favorite Disney movies of all time is Robin Hood. So this one also moves, and it is for the 45th anniversary of Robin Hood. I feel like it's a really underrated Disney film. King Richard from Robin Hood eating ice cream, as he should. Another vintage pin that I found at like an event. And then I have these two shoes. This one, they did a whole series and collection of them. I don't have them all, but I really like these two in particular. The Sleeping Beauty one with the pink, green, and blue fairy bows represented, and then Jessica Rabbit is like one of my all-time favorite characters. I just really like her aesthetic, but also the like satire and humor of her glamorous sexuality. So really big Jessica Rabbit fan. And so yeah, had to have the Jessica Rabbit shoe. But so I'm gonna go ahead and push these all in and get them secure, and then try to hang this up. And I'll check back in with you then. Hey everybody, it is Sunday, November 22nd, I believe. If I'm wrong, you'll still see some words here that'll correct me. So it has been a really long time since I've checked in with you on the 1,000 Doors Readathon. I have been struggling. I wouldn't call this a reading slump, but you know, I was struggling a little bit with Jade City, where I don't have it with me anymore because I had to return it to the library, but I did finish it before I had to return it, so all is well. And it was just like a bit more political oriented than I was expecting. I still think it was really a great book, and I'm stoked to read the rest of the series because I think this first book actually does a lot of groundwork and setting up of expectations and the different perspectives and all of that good stuff. So I did go ahead, and last night, I didn't film this, my apologies, I went ahead and went through my second door for the 1,000 Doors Readathon. And at the end of that first video, because I used Tasman's prompt, and then at the end you had like several little windows, you know, saying click here if, you know, certain conditions were met. And this first one was star ratings. So I don't normally give full star ratings in my my vlogs, but for the purposes of this one and accuracy, I will tell you what I did. So through at the end of Tasman's video, I clicked on the 4 to 5 star rating. So even though it was very slow and difficult for me to get through initially, I did really enjoy the writing style. Fondly crushed it. And I'm really interested in the world building, and I think it's a really good like political fantasy with a heavy dose of action. Because when the action did kick in,
yowza, did it go. So 4 to 5 stars. I'll leave it like a touch vague for now so I can clarify that in my wrap-up video. And then that led me to one of our other host videos. So Megan, who is the resident meme queen of BookTube. So all of her prompts have been meme oriented. And she did a meme that I have never seen before, but that's okay. I'm old, it's fine. And it was the "I'm back" kind of meme. And she said there are a bunch of different ways to go through this. You can obviously like read a sequel. You could return to a book that you put down or, you know, lost interest in over time. You could read a book where somebody is returning home. Like, again, a lot of these prompts are very vague on purpose so that you can interpret them however you want. And I am freaking loving this readathon for that reason. Like, it's such a creative and crafty readathon. But that is my prompt. And I was, you know, I sat down to read last night. I'd picked a book and was like, oh, I'll just tell them and I'll have read like 50 pages. No. I picked Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert, and I read 312 pages in one sitting. So I almost finished it. You can see I am very close to the end here. I will definitely be finishing this today, which is actually great because it took me so long to finish my first book. I was feeling kind of behind on this readathon, so now I will get to, you know, make some quick progress. But this is satisfying the "I'm back" prompt because it's the sequel to Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and it's a highly anticipated sequel for me. There were a lot of other books I probably should have grabbed for this one to satisfy some Litland prompts on my end, but like this one was just calling my name, and clearly it's exactly what I wanted or needed to read. I love this. Danny Brown is amazing. I really love how Talia Hibbert writes her characters regardless of gender. Like, they are, I love that she has always given space for anxiety, depression, grief. There is definitely grief and loss of a loved one as a significant talking point for both of the characters in this novel. So I won't call that like a hard trigger warning, but it is something to be aware of if you are very sensitive to this issue. She also calls it out in her author's note in the very beginning, which I love to see. I love that kind of transparency and awareness when authors do things like this. I'm gonna finish this today. Like, there's no denying this. And I'm going to be very happy about it. So what you need to know summary-wise is that this is a fake dating romance novel trope. So Danny Brown is a PhD student in the again, all these books are set in the UK. So she's a PhD student in the UK. She's an accomplished academic who also doesn't really believe in relationships. And because she just doesn't have the time. Her work is her priority. But she also really enjoys sex, has a lot of good sex positivity, and has some hangups about like what being in a relationship actually means. And she has this kind of flirtatious friendship with the security guard who's in the building that she's teaching classes at. His name is Zafir, and he has a mad crush on Danny. Like, really, he's a hopeless romantic. He's not really sure if she's interested, but he has a huge crush on her, and he ends up saving her from a busted elevator during an emergency drill, and students filmed the very grand romantic gesture of him carrying her out of the building, and so it goes viral. And it turns out that Zafir is on his side hustle. His real passion project is a sports-oriented or rugby-oriented like mental health camp for young men called Tackle It, because Zafir used to be a rugby star. So in order to get the benefit of the publicity, he and Danny start to fake date. But I also really like to do this thing on my channel where if I've hit a channel milestone, I like to shout out for fellow small booktubers, just as a way to say thank you to the community and to always kind of show off some of the cool people that I'm following. And for the sake of defining what small is, I know it's kind of a weird notion, but anybody under 5K is, to me, kind of a smaller booktuber. So I'm going to be giving you 4 names of people because I have hit another milestone. Thank you all so much for being here. I now have over 800 subscribers. By the time I am filming this, I think it's perilously close to 900, which is amazing. And so I have like 880 subscribers right now. So I will probably be doing more of this for you soon. But this is like one of the big vlogs that I've done this month. So happy to shout out some amazing YouTubers that I have either just discovered or have been big fans of for quite a long time. First is Laura's library card. Now, Laura is a big romance reader. She has already co-hosted a readathon related to romance, and one of the cool things is that the majority of the books that she's reading and intaking are from the library. So she's a great advocate for being able to utilize your library resources and that you don't have to buy anything to be a happy reader, to be reading a lot even. But she is definitely romance focused, although she does do some cool stuff with like mysteries and other genres, but she is definitely a big romance fan. Very like lighthearted, approachable, fun reviews. She does a lot of check-ins and does like little micro reviews of all her stuff. So love her channel. Please go check her out. Then we have Michael Knipp, who is to me like this really wonderful, warm kind of, I just want to give him a hug, I guess is what I'm really trying to say. I just want to give him a hug. He is like fantasy dad. He does have kids. He doesn't talk about them very often. He does sometimes have his wife on the channel, but he is a fantasy dad who is a big Brando Sando fan, big Brandon Sanderson. Sorry, we call him Brando Sando in this house. It's a nickname because we're invested. But he's a huge Brandon Sanderson fan. He also, at the same time, has done things like discover Twilight for the first time this year, and so he'll read the book and watch the movie and like give you an honest, earnest review about what's going on. He's really funny. He's got like a really, again, lighthearted, great sense of humor. So please go check out Michael's channel. The next person who I would like to recommend to you is Dana Cuadrado. Dana does a amazing amount of romance. She hauls a lot. She does a lot of like eBay or like book lot, used bookstore. So she's a huge romance supporter. I live vicariously through her book hauls since I can't do a lot of book hauls myself. But she is also really just like exploring and discovering what she likes and doesn't like in romance, and is doing it on a budget in a lot of ways. So like, again, she's using eBay, she's using used bookstores. Like, she's not going out and buying a ton of the most recent titles, but she's also up on the most recent trends. So she's a huge romance reader, and I highly recommend her channel if you like romance content. This next person is somebody that's a little bit newer to me, but I'm really enjoying their content, and that's the channel M Likes Books. It should come as no surprise that I am always and forever going to be a big fan of TBR games, since I have one myself. And she does categories, so she makes like little category cards, rolls the dice, and so it's a really fun take on categories, and she's creating a lot of original, fun, ancillary content around that. So like, really love her category videos every month, but she also does like really fun dives into specific genres or books and reviews. I like listening to her voice. I feel like it's very soothing. I feel very zen when I'm watching her videos. She's just very chill and has really fun takes on a bunch of different genres. She doesn't always read the same kind of things that I like to read, but I find that really enticing, and the overlap between us is probably more a little bit of the fantasy or historical spaces, maybe some of the mystery, but I just really like her depth and breadth of reading. So if you're looking for somebody that is really going to take you on a reading journey, I highly recommend that channel. Again, thank you so much for there being almost 900 of you, like 880 something people are subscribed to this channel, and that just means the world to me, whether you're just sticking around for my Litland videos or are watching all of these. Like, just thank you for being here. I hope you go check out some of these wonderful people's channels and continue to just be the wonderful supporters of BookTube that I know you all are. But yay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go read, and then I will check in with you when I go through a new door. Okay, so I am determined to finish Take a Hint, Danny Brown today, but I thought I would just get cozy on the couch and finish up this wee little bit here, and then I'll take you with me when I pick out my book based on the next door I walk through. So let's do this.
this is amazing. It's just as good as Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Highly, highly recommend this. I'm gonna go make myself a late lunch and then we'll talk about what's coming next, but love this. You laugh, you cry, you get all the emotional goods and all the smutty, sexy times when you read a Talia Hibbert. If you haven't checked out the series and you are even remotely interested in romance, do it. Hey team, I just watched the updated video on my phone, and so because the question at the end of Megan's video was like, did you know where this was going? And my answer was yes, but I didn't mind. And since romance novels typically have happily ever afters or HEAs, I definitely knew where this was going, but was totally there for it. Also, I want to apologize if you can hear a lot of like noise pollution. There's a lot going on in my complex right now, including tiny tots running overhead, but we're gonna get through this together. So then by pushing that button, I got a new video that was Tasman, and her prompt was anything related to Marvel. So like recommending maybe a book to a specific character, or you know, just like a Marvel something. So I'm kind of just treating that as a little freeform, and I'm gonna do a bit of a 2-for-1. So I have this awesome like issue, I guess it's not really an issue, it's like a trade bind up, and it's a offshoot of Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther. So it's Black Panther World of Wakanda, and it's featuring Roxane Gay, Ta-Nehisi Coates, and then illustrated by Althea E. Martinez and Roberto Poggi. So I haven't read this one yet. It's one that I definitely like added on because I'm really interested in seeing these like famous non-comic book oriented authors tackle some beloved characters in the MCU. So I'm gonna do this, but also to tie us back into like the bookishness of it all, because Roxane Gay is one of the co-authors for this. I'm gonna go ahead and finish Bad Feminist, which was one of my rollovers for October, where I was like, I had started this but still needed to finish this, so this would also take off something from my Litland. So I'm gonna count these. I could probably just do the little switcheroo and count this as one, but I also want to read this, so I'm gonna read these two things before I go through my next door, and this will actually be the book that I answer the question for the next door about. So I'm probably gonna finish this and start this today, and then hopefully finish this in the next couple of days is my goal. Because I didn't get too far into it before I stopped at the end of last month. So I have a long way to go. So this is like barely even started. And then this is a whole new read for me. But yeah, really looking forward to reading more of this book. And because I've been reading like fantasy and romance and then now a graphic novel, I kind of would love a bit of a cleanser, a palette refresh in nonfiction, and I've been wanting to read this book for a really long time. So that's how I'm gonna handle the next door that I've gone through in this readathon. I'm making lunch. I'm making mac and cheese, super nutritious, I know, but you know, it's a Sunday. I'm having a lazy Sunday and there's mac and cheese involved, so it's great. I am probably gonna finish and start this all in the same day, because again, nice slim trade volume, and then tonight I will knock out some Roxane Gay in Bad Feminist. So I will touch base with you probably either later tonight or tomorrow and let you know how it's going. Okay, so I haven't checked in with you in several days. It is Saturday, November 28th, and we are rapidly approaching the end of the Thousand Doors Readathon. And I'm making progressing. I'm sort of doing that. I did finish both the, trade paperback of that graphic novel, World of Wakanda, and that was really cool. It's a bunch of almost like little short stories, some of them longer than others, and they really kind of map out the rest of the world that takes place in Ta-Nehisi Coates' version of Black Panther. So it's kind of like a prequel story set, and it was really cool.
and that was also co-written by Roxane Gay. And so then I just did a 2-for-1, you know, because I apparently like to make things difficult for myself, and did Bad Feminist, which I finished on Thanksgiving Day, so on the 26th, and I loved it. It was great. At times painful to read because of how true her words are, but overall, like, really amazing nonfiction reading experience to read from something that I both connected to deeply personally, but also it was a great reading outside my perspective in a lot of ways too, because it was a lot of like cultural criticism of books, TV shows, movies, from just a lens that's not my worldview. And I love being able to do that. And Roxane Gay is actually one of my favorite cultural critics for that reason. She's got humor and heart and rage, and I love her for all of those things. So really, really loved that. And then I immediately went to the end. If you remember, my fourth door was Tasman's like Marvel prompt, which is how I got to that little 2-for-1 that I foisted upon myself when one probably would have done just fine. And so my fifth door returned me to the lovely Megan, our meme queen. And I'll see if I can find like a gif of it, but she did the like bit of Housewives of Orange County. It's Ramona, who, you know, she's saying something about like, I'm an acquired taste, so you'd better acquire me, or something like that. So what she recommended, or one of the potential ways you can interpret that, although all of these are totally open to interpretation, is, you know, something that you've heard mixed things about, or you've heard something bad about, that you think you might like anyway, you know, like just some kind of differential there. She said you could probably also do a couple of different readings with it, but that's how she's choosing to do it. So what I struggled with this one, I honestly did. I think what I'm going to do for this, I just got this back from the library. It was very dramatic. I thought I was going to have to take a punishment in Litland because my book that I had checked out on ebook needed to be returned, and then it said that the library no longer had the license for that book. So I was like, great, I'm just never going to be able to read that. But it's back, apparently, so thank goodness for that. But it is the short story collection called Star Touch Stories by Roshani Chokshi. And that series, the first of which is the Star Touch Queen, it's a duology, but there are some people like myself who really love that book, and there are some others who are just like, meh, too much, not for them, and prefer Chokshi's other work like The Gilded Wolves. I, however, am a really big fan of the Star Touch Queen, in particular as the first book. Second book is good, but not as good as the first one, in my opinion. But the series overall kind of has like a mixed reading, and would definitely be kind of like an acquired taste because the prose can be very flowery and dramatic, which is something I sometimes really enjoy. So I think I'm going to read that short story collection, Star Touch Stories by Roshani Chokshi, as my acquired taste meme answer. And fingers crossed that that's a quick read, because regardless of whether or not I make it all the way through this readathon, I have like 3 other books that I need to read for my sanity and for Litland, so I don't have to take punishments. I already know for sure I'm going to have to take one punishment for Litland, but you'll have seen that by the time this video goes up. You'll have already seen that. But I digress. So that's what I'm going to do. I will check in with you when I have actually read more. I have today, tomorrow, Sunday, tomorrow was Sunday, and then Monday to finish hopefully 1 or 2 more books. I'm not sure I'll make it all the way through, but honestly, I'm loving this readathon, so if I don't make it all the way through, it's totally fine. Hey everybody, I just realized that I never officially wrapped up the 1,000 Doors readathon with you, so I did finish Star Touched Stories by Roshani Chokshi, which I believe is the last thing you saw from me. So I did enjoy that. I really loved that it was 3 new stories in the world of Star Touch Queen, some of which came before the events of that first book, but the other 2 stories happened after the second book. So it was really just good immersive experience for somebody who liked the Star Touch Queen series. Part of why this worked as a mixed reviews kind of prompt was because not everybody loves that duology sense of like purple prose and lyrical writing, but I really love it. I just am so attracted to the way Roshani Chakshi writes mythology and folktale. So I enjoyed that quite a bit. You'll be able to see my full review of that book and all the books I've mentioned in this video in my November wrap-up, which you may actually get before this vlog goes live because I forgot to film this outro. So there's that. Sadly, I did not get all the way through the doors. I stopped at that last door. It just took me a little longer than I thought to get through that ebook. But that's okay. I still really loved this readathon, and I hope they host it again soon. Like, maybe not next month soon, but like, you know, I hope I don't have to wait till next November to do another one of these. This was really cool, very creative, and I just really want to thank our host for making one of the most interesting and interactive experiences that I've ever had in a readathon. I hope you had fun watching me figure stuff out and do things. So thank you for spending time with me. I hope you have a fantastic reading day. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of me or this channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!